So we're very happy today to have with us Amanda Franklin, who is someone I've known as a small business owner. And you can touch base on that a little bit, but you have a very interesting background. And lately you've made a splash as the new owners of the Bloomington Brewing Company, which I constantly have to correct myself from saying the Bloomington Bagel Company. It's a different BBC, not related. But you know, we reached out because it's such an interesting transition and it's such an iconic business here in Bloomington. So we just wanted to hear a little bit more about it and how you came to be where you are today. So without further ado, Amanda.
It's funny that you say that, Gabe, about BBC, because I did work at the bagel company, and my kids were really excited when we said we were buying BBC because they thought we were buying the bagel company. But then when we told them the beer, they weren't so excited.
Little less
Yes. Okay, so background history on me, I guess. I worked with Gabe at the gallery, and I was an art teacher. So I have a master's degree in art education, and kind of always wanted to be in small business ownership. And I got to reconnect with Gabe and his dad because I purchased Cactus Flower, which is located directly next to the gallery. From Cactus Flower closing in like 2 years ago, I kind of missed that realm, the small business realm, and we've always dabbled in talking about owning a restaurant or having some kind of beer venture, because my husband and I are really interested in beer, specifically German style beers. We've done some traveling in Germany. And our longtime friend, Zach Allgood, was the head brewer at Bloomington Brewing Company. I'm sorry, at Upland Brewing Company. He's been there for about 8 years. He was kind of at the top of where he could go there. So he heard from Jeff Meese that he was looking for someone else to take over BBC. And that's where the conversation started, really, was with Zach. Zach called us one day and said, "What do you think about buying Bloomington Brewing Company?" And this was about 7 months ago. And we were kind of like, I don't know, that's pretty off the wall, but you know, let's set up a meeting. So it started with a meeting and then some financial analysis. I think the turning point for deciding to go forward with the purchase was we called a neighbor of ours, Chris Welsh, who also owns a brewery, and just kind of ran him by, you know, some of the figures and what we were thinking about doing. And we were a little bit on the fence at that point. But when we talked to Chris, he was really the push that we needed to make the jump. So he said that he thought we should go forward with it. And it's an iconic brand, and we all have, you know, affiliation with it through Bloomington. So 4-Day Ray, Chris decided to partner with us. My husband and I are 60% owners of the business, and then 4-Day Ray is 40% owner. So they came in, which really made the whole process viable for us. BBC previously was an add-on to a food business. So Jeff and Lenny own Pizza X and One World Catering. So the business was not needing to be a standalone wholesale beer seller. But us bringing in 4-Day Rate helps us meet the capacity that we need to make it a standalone beer wholesaler. And so once that group was formed, sale became complete in January, and we've gone from there.
What was that 4-Day Ray? What is that, or who is that?
4-Day Ray is a brewery in Fishers.
Okay.
And they have a big brewery and a restaurant, and they've been in business for about 7 years.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll be brewing beer that they don't have capacity for, and then they'll purchase it from us, and that helps us get up to production full capacity at the brewery.
So what is your what's the current facility like? Is it here in town? Is it how many? Is big? Does it need to be bigger for what you have in mind, or do you feel like it's a good footprint for what?
It's big. It was originally purchased to combine for catering for One World and for the brewery. So it's probably a bigger space than most would need for a brewery. We have, I think there's 9 fermenters and 8 bright tanks. We have 3 walk-in coolers that are probably about the size of a quarter of this room. And so it's a pretty big, I think it's 12,000 square feet. So it's a pretty big building. It's standalone. It's over on the west side of Bloomington. It's on kind of like an industrial area that if you haven't been back there, you would never have seen it. Yeah.
And how many employees have you suddenly taken on?
Just one.
Just the one?
We have our head brewer so basically the brewery consists of myself and Zach, our brewer, and then my husband Jared, who's delivering kegs when needed and washing kegs and making sales calls and filling in.
So this is a true small business adventure. This is
True.
a grassroots beer effort.
It is 100%. Yeah.
Do you have supply bottlenecks, particularly with like hops? I know there's reached a shortage as of late. Or
We've been reading about the shortages, but we haven't encountered any of them really. Mostly what we have is inflated prices. So we're seeing about a 10% raise in what we were anticipating dry goods to cost. But we haven't run into any. We were hearing about the can shortage, aluminum shortage, but we personally haven't had an issue with that quite yet.
And so as far as the brand goes, or as far as I don't want to say inventory, but what will brew, are you looking to enhance it? Is there something you're going, this isn't working, we're going to cast it aside? What's going to be happening in the next year for this business, would you say?
A lot more beer.
A lot more beer.
Yeah, a lot more beer. They have really toned down production. They have their original brewer, Floyd Rosenbaum, came back to brew when needed, basically just to fill the orders, but there hadn't been any intention on growth because I think Jeff has known for a while that he wanted this part of the business to be separated off at some point. So they've really toned down production and we've really amped it back up. We've increased already, probably double production.
Wow.
And we have, they had a lot of seasonals that they had stopped brewing that we've picked back up. So we've already done Java Porter and then it's on tap right now at Lenny's. It's really good. And then we have we did a collab called Clown Convention with FDR. And we're bringing 10 speed wheat back. And we have that in the bright tank right now.
Are you sticking with Ruby Bloom?
Yeah. So all of the recipes, like the mainstays, are all gonna stay. Some of the ingredients are being tweaked a little bit. There's just newer products that you can use instead of some of the older products. Like a simple replacement can make the beer gluten-free or vegan without changing the taste. So some of those things we're updating. But the flavors of the main beers will stay the same.
so as far as distribution, will it be through the same channels? And if I wanted to support a local brewery and buy beer, should I do it at Kroger, or is there another place in town I should buy it where you don't get the middleman markup or the cut to be bigger?
Unfortunately, in Bloomington, I mean, most everywhere we have to sell through a distributor. So until we get an actual tap room, it's always going to come through a distributor. So anywhere that you prefer, home or bars or restaurants, is where you would get the beer. I mean, almost every restaurant in Bloomington or bar has a tap right now. So Lenny's is still going to be our de facto tap room. So they have every flavor on tap.
So I mentioned I worked at Lenny's back in the day. I'm sort of a rite of passion. And Floyd was this bigger than life figure who would pull in on a stripped down Jeep, park wherever he wanted to, or park in whoever he felt was in his parking spot, come in, tweak the beer, and then tear ass out of there. What is Floyd doing now? Has he been involved in this at all? You mentioned his name.
Yeah, he worked with Zach to kind of train him on the system because it's a different system than what Evelyn has. And so he's been there. He comes anytime we ask him to come. He was there yesterday. So he's great. He just pops in, and I think everybody at One World who helped in the brewery loves the brewery. So anytime we ask for help, they're like, I'll be right there. So
Is Floyd up in Indianapolis, or what does he do these days?
he's in Bloomington and he works on the farm, the Loesch farm. And I think he does some construction projects for One World.
Yeah, he's such a unique character as a part of this.
Yeah, he's been great.
So you shared with us at the table an anecdote that kind of outlined your commitment to beer. Would you mind sharing that again?
Oh, yeah. So when people ask if we're beer people or why we wanted to get in the beer industry, we actually my husband and I got engaged when we lived in Germany at the Schlingerlau Brewery in Bamberg, Germany. And that is one of the oldest breweries in the world. So we have a love for beer that stems from a very long time.
And do you have any particular brewery that you're modeling yourself after, or you're interested in? And when you, in your mind, go, I want to do that.
I think what BBC was and how like iconic it is what we're striving for. We want to be small town. We want to stay in Bloomington, and we want to be Bloomington's #1 craft brewery. So the fact that it's Southern Indiana's #1 craft brewery is like, we want to maintain that and grow it in Bloomington, but we don't have plans for restaurants all over the state or breweries everywhere. We just want to make the beer as best as we can and get it to more people, hopefully.
Are you ultimately looking to put in a tap room on the west side location, or are you looking for a location in like around the square?
Yeah, the west side location is not great for a tap room. It's hard to get to right now. I think if they ever completed that connection to the Lowe's roundabout, we might put something in there. But I'd say 3 years down the line, we might consider something downtown for a tap room.
And within Indiana, is there any area or market that you're looking at that you don't have access to right now?
Yeah, I think we'd try to grow in the next 2 years. We try to grow in the Indianapolis market. We've got a decent representation in Columbus and Seymour and Nashville and Bloomington, but we don't have much in north of there.
It's French Lick of interest to you at all, or a place you're already?
Definitely. I think we have North Fernandez, French Lick, one of our distributors. But yes.
That's great. So given your art background, are you looking at or kicking around any concepts as far as labeling, or are there any artists you're like anxious to try to bring on board?
Yes, I don't have anyone pinpointed, but part of our brand recognition is local artists. So we have we just canned Quarryman, and it's a hand-drawn artwork of men working in a quarry. Then we have like the Krampus, who was done by Colin, who's like one of the famous tattoo artists in Bloomington. I think is where he is.
Right.
So I like that tradition of using local artwork on the labels. I like the Art Deco style of the labels, and we'll continue that.
What's your relationship like with other breweries, Upland or Big Woods now, or Quavon, I think is their name. Sorry, I always get confused with their actual name.
Yeah. We have a great relationship with Upland. Zach was there for 8 years, so he talks to the brewers there almost every day. That's just kind of how the brewery world is. Like, they share everything. So if we need a bag of malt that we're out of and they have it, well, there's a real community among brewers, because it's so specific that there's not a lot of other people that know what you're into. So luckily we have a great relationship with them. We haven't really met many people at other breweries. Like Quaffon, we haven't met a lot of people from there, but we went to Winterfest, which is a guild event in Indianapolis, and I mean, it's just everyone is friendly in the industry because they know how dirty you're getting through the week and how hard you're trying to make great beer. So,
Since you mentioned Winterfest, is there any word on Bloomington Brew Fest? Is that possibly going to be coming back?
it's not going to be here this year. From what I understand is there would have to be a brewery who would host it. And it's a big undertaking. So it's something that we've talked with Jeff about doing in the future. But this year's a little bit too soon to get that organized with what we're trying to do with the brewery.
Is that because of a certain bureaucracy that you have to have a brewery that's going to host it?
It used to be hosted by the guild, and I think that they had to cut back so much staff over the pandemic that there isn't currently someone who can, like a dedicated person who can organize it. So that's been the issue for the past 2 years. Plus having events.
Sure, general is tricky. The beer fest in Bloomington was always a lot of fun. And I marvel at how it sort of ran like an art festival. And there was food setups and, there seemed to be some specific criteria for even being in the space. And so
Yeah.
I draw a parallel between the art world. and beer.
Yeah, I've heard that it's really hard to organize to get everyone to commit to and send insurance certificates and have everyone licensed, and so it's.
So if resources weren't an issue, if you could wave a magic wand and tomorrow be bottling a new and exciting flavor for BBC, what would that look like? Are you holding on to anything?
So the guys are gonna say something different than what I'm gonna say because women have different taste preferences in beer than men. They'd probably pick some. Well, I know Zach would say he wants to do a traditional style lager, which is in his mind of what we're gonna start next. Jared would probably say he wants like some kind of dark German style beer. And I would really like something tart. So I like the tarts and the fruity things.
Sure.
But I don't know if we'll see any of those because they are too.
Sure. Is there, as far as resources, is there something, you feel like you're up against a limitation right now that you're looking to kind of organize getting through or getting over a hump?
I don't think resources wise, I think the biggest hump for me personally is probably the learning curve. But we have just hired our first cellar man. So we're kind of growing along with what we're figuring out we need and how we're growing the brand. But we haven't run into a lot of resource issues besides pricing.
How much of your day would you say is dedicated to this?
Like 10 hours a day.
I think it's great that you mentioned, I'm sure you're involved in this, delivering kegs if you need it.
Yep.
That's your boots on the ground, which is commendable.
Yeah, we're doing 2 deliveries a week right now to Lenny's, and I got the car full of beer cans. And
How does the sales process work? Are you directly approaching new restaurants, breweries, or is that through the distributor or third party?
the orders have to be placed through the distributor, but it really is up to the brewery owners or salespeople to be in front of people, because the distributors represent all of the brands. And sometimes they'll push your brand if they have a product that they really love, but in general, they represent everybody. So I am taking samples around to bars and restaurants and getting people to try the new products that we've made, and then they would place orders through the distributor. But yeah, we really feel like we have to get in front of people, especially when we're improving some of the taste profiles. They want to taste it, and that's what we do, what the owners do.
I should also mention Amanda offered to bring samples today, and the Tudor room was not on board with that, but she was willing to share with us. And it pained me to turn her down on that. But I was also saying that maybe on down the line, we could do a field trip tour.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like you've got enough room for
Yes,
and,
there's no volleyball inside the brewery, but outside would be fine.
yeah. I'm going to double check with the people at Radio Land here real quick.
Sure.
Is there anybody that's at home right now that has any questions? If they'd like to unmute themselves, I'm happy to try to pass this along. I'm not seeing anything, so we must be doing a very comprehensive interview.
The
Well,
good doctor asked if you would like to open a tap room at our house, Amanda.
Yes. We do dock sales, so you can come to the brewery and buy directly from the brewery too.
All right.
oh, that's good to know. Well, just in the interest of time, we should consider wrapping up, but is there anything we haven't covered that you feel like is going to be important for you to the BDC that we should know?
Yeah, I think what the community was the most concerned about when they heard that it was selling was that it was going to sell out to some kind of big corporation that is not local. And so what we've been trying to spread the word about is that we are Bloomington people that just love the brand, that want to increase its volume and presence in Bloomington, but it's definitely a family business and not outsourced.
Not outsourced. That
Yeah.
should be, that should be the tag. That could be the next shirt. I had so much branding, from working at the drink, think globally, drink locally. It's a great tagline. Not outsourced. I think it's a great addition to that.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. For the folks at home, I think we're going to sign off here, but we'll be meeting both in person and by Zoom next week, and I'll send out. I want to thank Amanda again. You're getting hand applause.
Thank you.